that group to be prepared to start their presentation. Okay, so it's with you guys.
Okay. Can everyone hear me?
Very well. Very
Yes.
well.
Okay. I would like to thank you again, the presence of everyone here. It's a pleasure to have this opportunity. So can someone of my group share the screen? Yeah, please. This is everyone who made this project. Can share, please, can change. This is an online project made by students from Brazil, from Belgium, China, and the United States. Can change. We put some photos of us in the presentation. This is my team. Can change. Can change. Yeah. Yes. And we were in charge to work with Guep. So thank you to Rodrigo, the CEO. And Guep is a software company whose aim is to develop technology to the road transport and bring innovation and agility to them. And they work with the road transport, insurance, and logistic market. They offer solutions for customers of insurance companies, risk management, insurance brokers, transportation companies, and industries. And they work with more than 2,500 companies across Brazil. And Guep is also a B2B type company, which is when a company provides products and services to other companies. And these products and services become a fundamental part of its daily process. And because of this, Guep ends up gaining relevance and becomes a fundamental part in this market, because their main focus is to bring technological innovation for their customers. Can change, please. Their main differential is to combine advanced technology such as biometrics, mobility, blockchain, big data, and artificial intelligence to the in-depth knowledge of business practice and process for this logistic market. And all of this, of course, respecting the principles of sustainable development and providing the best cost benefits to their customers. And change. Regarding the business model, Guep Solutions brings countless advantages to the logistic chain, saving time, reducing operational costs, gaining agility in decision making, and reducing risks, thanks to a cloud system that searches hundreds of sources of information in real time without human intervention, and all with 40% more assertiveness than other market solution in the market here in Brazil or in Latin America. Change. So we can say that the source of income comes from many places of this logistic market, and they offer solutions to solve the problems of these companies in all the situations, and ship and taker, autonomous drivers, brokerage, insurance, risk management, payment, and transportation manager system, platforms and banks, claims regulator, toll and voucher. Change.
The COVID-19 crisis had quite a big impact on Guep.
So first of all, they had to switch to work from home. But there was, of course, also a big impact on Guep's customers. However, the impact was quite different for each customer. Some customers suffered from financial losses, whereas other customers made a lot of profits. Yes. The COVID-19 crisis had a big impact on the transport sector in Brazil. So according to several sources, the road freight transport in Brazil decreased with 40% because of the crisis. And however this might seem negative, there was also a positive impact. The COVID-19 crisis turned out to be very advantageous for those companies that are active in the e-commerce sector. And those companies are still continuously looking for new employees to be able to handle the large demands. But of course, this was not the case for each company. There was also a negative impact for the majority of companies because they had to downsize because work from home was not possible. Yeah, you can continue. Okay, so Guep's approach during COVID-19 crisis can be described as being diverse. So it still offers solutions for companies to reduce the impact of COVID-19 by offering several technologies. And those technologies mainly consist of developing more digital tools for those companies. And Guep communicates with its customers via their website and social media. And this way, Guep wants to keep its customers informed on the development of the crisis, also on the impact of the sector.
And moving on to Guep's current marketing approach. Guep markets to other Brazilian businesses as they don't really like to, or they haven't yet moved on to expanding outside of Brazil. And they do so by offering a unique service as they're one of the first companies to kind of get started in the Brazilian market with the transportation sector. And they target companies mainly within the logistics and transportation sector. And in terms of Guep's current marketing expansion, they currently only promote within Brazil. They aren't looking to American countries. However, if say an Argentinian country or company were to come to them wanting their service, wanting to use it, they wouldn't necessarily turn them away just because they aren't from Brazil. They just aren't looking at going out and attracting them themselves. And they're doing this because they want to use most of their resources to strengthen their presence within Brazil. And after talking about most of the specifics about Guep, we're going to talk about some similar companies from around the world, things that have helped them to maybe help Guep as well.
First of all, we start with Tans. Tans is a Dutch-Belgian company that was founded in 1985. They offer software just like Guep for logistical companies. Their software is called Thales, and at the moment they're a market leader through the offer of Thales and their excellent relationship management. What's Thales? Thales is the name for the software they're using, and it's responsible for the planning, the warehousing, the packaging, and everything else that comes with logistical aspects within the sector. The impact of COVID-19 on Tans itself was rather small. Why is this? Because the majority of their customers are active in the food and the medicine sector, and these two sectors were essential businesses during the crisis, so they remained open the entire time. Furthermore, they tried to work from home as much as possible, and nowadays they're returning back to the office while respecting the 1.5 meter distance at all times. You can continue, Trevor. Yeah, you can continue.
So, as every sector in the world, the transport sector did not remain untouched. The numbers of trucks that were on the Belgian roads since March was almost 25% lower compared to March 2019. This has resulted that also 25% of the employees in the transport sector were put in temporary unemployment. Another consequence of the corona crisis are the measures that are being taken by different companies and countries. The drivers need to wear gloves and masks, and they also need to check their temperature on a regular basis at the companies. Furthermore, the European Union requires all drivers to refresh their knowledge and skills through training courses. But these courses have not taken place due to the COVID-19 crisis. But these courses are crucial in certain sectors, such as the food sector. The European guideline concerning the driver times and periods has been adapted. The future of the transport sector is in general has less good prospects. The transport sector is in the top 5 of sectors which are the most vulnerable for a crisis. The Belgian government fears a snowball effect will take place. This is due to a high offer of transport at very cheap prices. The big companies will maintain and expand their influence on the sector, whereas the small family businesses will have to file for bankruptcy. In the future, TANS expects that more companies will look for the services they are offering at the moment to reduce the physical contact between people and to optimize their systems. The services of TANS will become more important in the continuously changing world where digitalization is the key to success. TANS can't predict how the future of the transport sector will look like, but since they are investing a lot of money in research and development, they are very confident that they will remain their position as a market leader in Belgium and in the Netherlands.
The next company we want to talk about that is similar to Guep is Hualala. It is a company founded in 2013 from Hong Kong. It has been called the shipping version of Uber. Users can call trucks registered on the platform through a mobile app. It's sort of like calling transportation to and from for users. Change. Some more things about the company and exactly what they do and their software. The software matches customers with the nearest and most efficient truck drivers. Drivers are registered all over Hong Kong. You can order one from anywhere. The software is provided on Android and Apple iOS software, so you can like do it on your phone, which is very helpful, which helps them work directly with customers. The platform is usable 24/7. Customers can pick what kind of vehicle they're looking for to best suit their needs. How Hualala was affected during COVID-19. They used their platform and software to deliver medical supplies such as masks and clothing, transported food and water, they transported building materials to a hospital that needed it. Change. The way the industry itself shifted was there was overall a decrease in demand for the platform, having to deal with, less people were out, the drivers were less willing to get out of cars. There was, increased traffic control measures to control traffic flow. But by April, it had gone back up, more people were returning to work. And from this, Hualala learned that they wanted to focus on improving data efficiency and unmanned distribution. So there would be less people involved in the process. Things they learned specifically from the pandemic that they wanted to take to learn from themselves and learn for others is that they need to establish an effective public emergency support platform. They need to work on making sure their platform had emergency capabilities and emergency contingency plans to make sure that they were better prepared in case an event like this happened in the future, which I think that was a lesson a lot of people learned, and that digitization and logistics are the future of innovation. Next, the next company we're going to talk about that relates to Guep and is Microsoft, which is a large American software and logistics consumer electronics company with over 1 billion users. I wanted to compare some similarities and differences with Guep. The differences are, Microsoft's been around for a long time, so they are bigger with more international reach, but that comes from being a company for about 45 years now. But they have some distinct similarities. They both focus on data analyzation, software, logistics products, and a focus on transportation logistics, which is particularly through Microsoft done with a facet of Microsoft Azure. Microsoft Azure, a direct quote from the website, is it's an ever-expanding set of cloud services to help your organization meet your business challenges. It's effectively an application creating tool that the businesses can use to help create applications. When used for transportation logistics, Microsoft Azure track and manage vehicles and freight. It has like map services that can tell, the roads, traffic, if there's anything going wrong with the truck, if a crash, or if there's been with the truck itself or on the road. And the software is strong enough to track, vehicles, whether it's in your own hometown or all across the world. Despite the fact that, well, not despite the fact, but Microsoft was a bigger company, but they did have distinct effects from the pandemic. Microsoft, a lot of their products are on the cloud and are software, so there was actually increased traffic on their online cloud-based applications, but all this heavy traffic they weren't exactly prepared for, so it caused slower speeds, cloud server outages, a strain on the software, and there was also, Microsoft had heavy supply chain problems having to deal with people being out of work higher in the supply chain, products not being able to be finished on time. The way Microsoft reacted to the pandemic was that they worked with the CDC, with their logistics software to make some assessment tool, which shows how software like this can help in uncertain times. And the 365 also helped people all around the world communicate. And like many companies around the world, they sent out a statement of solidarity. Okay, there we go. Now for the suggestions section. The three main things that a company could take away from Microsoft Azure and their company. The main one, I know Guep already has a lot of their products based on the cloud, but that is something that I think that's something that needs to be reiterated in this case, because it has been something that has not only saved Microsoft during the pandemic, but during just in general to stop them from obsolescence. So a continuous focus on pushing all products towards the cloud, especially in times like these, is something that could really benefit a company. And although obviously there is a bit of a sunk cost fallacy involved, I think with many companies it's shown to be a sound investment. Microsoft Azure software, as I stated earlier, also has roadmap capabilities, real-time traffic delay and issue monitoring that I think seems like the next step for Guep, given that they already, their transportation and logistics already, has to do with drivers and transportation. it just seems like something that is sort of on the road for in the future, the next step. Another big takeaway that I feel other companies can learn from Microsoft is that for a while the company wasn't doing very well, and they've only had a resurgence in the past couple of years because the new CEO has had a focus on diversifying their products, diversifying what they do, and especially in terms of their new software and cloud services, which is what stopped them from being put by the wayside and focusing on nothing but, you know, Microsoft Office. So those were the main takeaways I found in my research. The main takeaway for Huolala is that while Guep is very B2B, Huolala is very B2C. They go directly to customers who can just, you know, they just have a phone on the street who need that. So that is something that they could look for in terms of kind of expansion of exactly what they do in the future, benefit more customers. You know, it's a growing e-commerce in Brazil. It's just something that would feed into the growth.
The last recommendation we got from TANS is in line with their own vision on the market. So TANS likes to invest 25% of their revenue directly in the research and development department of their own company. And they felt that Guep should try to do the same because it would give them an advantage on their competitors. More specifically, TANS suggested that Guep should invest in the research and development department that focus on the legislation part of Brazil, because we felt that Brazil is a country with several different laws in several different regions that is continuously changing. And by researching this part, this legislation department, we can, or Guep can become aware of all kinds of opportunities that will come through those changes. This was our presentation. We would like to thank every student that was a part of it, every professor that helped us throughout the entire process, and all the companies that provided us with a lot of information to make this project possible. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
I think
questions, comments?
Yeah, questions, yeah.
So may I raise the first question? I want to ask, you mentioned Microsoft Azure. Does you suggest Guep to do something like Microsoft to develop a kind of a cloud service like Azure or not?
Could you repeat? I'm not sure I understand.
So, do you suggest Guep to develop a cloud service, something like a Microsoft Azure?
Well, Guep already, their software and stuff is already cloud-based. They do already do that, but that was just a big takeaway I had from Microsoft Azure, that should still be a big focus in the future, working with all their software on the cloud. Or, yeah, basically.
But what's the implication of a Guep?
What do you mean?
What Guep can learn from Microsoft?
I mean, they just have I think Microsoft Azure, especially with their logistics and transportation section, have a very efficient system with just several more features that, well, not against Guep, but just as they're more evolved, they have more features that I just think in the future that could be something they look toward as something they could potentially in the future add toward their own, such as, you know, the maps, the real-time traffic monitoring, the, you know, on-site emergency monitoring sort of features that Microsoft Azure has currently.
Hopefully. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I appreciate it.
Okay, well, let's warm up the discussion. So you worked online, only online, and you had to communicate with each other, and you had to coordinate, you had to do research, you had to identify companies and what they do, you know, research markets and stuff like that. What was the most difficult thing that you did, and what was the easiest thing that what you did from everything that you did, you know, all the relationship, everything, all the what do you think was the easiest? What do you think was the most difficult? Maybe an answer from each country, each sub-team.
I think me personally, the most difficult part, at least relatively difficult part, was the large like time zone difference, because you know, if we wanted to meet for like say a Zoom call, we couldn't plan for the next day because most people would be like sleeping. Because, I mean, I don't regularly wake up at 6 a.m. when everyone else is awake. So by the time I'm awake, somebody is asleep and they won't see it till the next day and respond the same way. So you had to plan more in advance than you would normally do, say, just with people you hang out with regularly. I think that was the most difficult thing.
What was the easiest?
I actually think the easiest was figuring out what we were going to do. Everyone was very willing to just choose a part and go ahead and work hard. So that part wasn't ever difficult, finding out who was going to do what.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, that just everyone worked hard and figured out what they wanted to do pretty quickly.
Anybody else?
Did you experience social or cultural differences between the teams? Or none at all?
I think it may have been less since we were mostly texting, which I think may be more universal. I don't know.
None that were too big to stick out anyway.
No.
That were extremely noticeable.
Personally, for me, the most difficult for me is the language. I couldn't express some ideas clearly to my team members, and the most easier is to find some information and to share the informations and to do the project with they will forgive me, and my English is my communication skills is not that good, and we do the project, but what we actually do is to make friends with different countries, and this is a chance to know more about different cultures and to learn more about the language. Yes, and I appreciate.
So, guys, and how could you describe this experience that you had? Of course, it's online experience, but could you describe this?
For me personally, it was a little weird because it was all online and I wasn't really used to it. But in general, I think it was a nice experience to work with so many different countries, but all having the same goal, having the same target, working on the same project really helped in that. So I experienced it really well. So I enjoyed working on it. So it was nice to do.
Yeah.
I agree with that. My takeaway would be complicated but fun. It was complicated to get everything to work perfectly at a good time, but it was fun and everyone worked hard. My teammates were all very good to work with.
Yes, I think was a good experience too, but was difficult to organize the schedules and express yourself in another language is difficult too. Sometimes you don't know how to say some things, and it was I think was a good experience, but different because everyone need to adapt your life to your home. So I am working from home. I'm doing home office. I'm having classes online. And this project was all made online. So was a different experience, but I like it.
Great. I think Alex from Guep wants to say something for the students. Alex?
Yes. First of all, I would like to thank you all for the work done, for the effort that you put into this. For Guep to participate into this joint effort with universities was tremendously fantastic experience. I am very sorry that the pandemic and everything it was very unexpected. When we first had our conversations with Karen, with Michael, we were ready to receive the students physically into our quarters, so you could know better about Guep and about our market and our challenges. I thank for the tips that you guys gave in this work. Guep is now working towards an even more digital approach to the transportation market. As I told before in our preparation material, the transportation market in Brazil is very traditional and not used to use technology. Let me give you a quick example. So we are in the middle of deploying one of our systems that we have been developing for the past 2 years that gives a certain automation to the flow of physical documents inside a transportation company. So usually and normally a guy to emit one of these documents, he has to go to a certain provider, input some information, go to a second one, take an information from there, then he goes to a third party and put information. Usually to emit one document, it takes about 3 minutes. But this happens for each transportation operation. For each truck that gets out of your company, you have to do this. So if you have thousands of transportation operations every day, you must have a team of people putting this information and making this basically manually. So we showed him that if you took the physical document of the cargo that you were transporting, and you just click and drop it into our system, it makes this in like 15 seconds. And we showed this to a customer this week, and he said, "Just that?" And we said, "Yes, it's just that." So these are some of the things that we are very excited to do here in Brazil, to bring to the transportation market these technologies that will help boost the efficiency in Brazil. And the road cargo transportation in Brazil is very important. I think that working from home without getting to know us and to know our customers, to be physically here, might be challenging because something gets lost in the translation, in the experience. But I see that with all these things of isolation, we had to be very resilient, work from home, and try to understand from distance what are those differences. So I thank everyone in the team for the effort that you put. And our doors remain open. Whenever the things go back to the, sorry for the cliche, but whenever the things comes back to the new normal, you are welcome to come visit us and know our reality better. And through caring and the people from Metodista, I will make our best to update you on the things that we will do. And I'm sure that this work will help you guys improve in your careers, understanding each other, understanding other cultures and scenarios, and having to work in a collaborative way like you did is remarkable. I would like to thank you all and congratulate you all and wish you a very, very bright and successful future. Thank you very much on behalf of Guep.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you very much for helping the students. And I hope next year, this time, we are there presenting. And I hope that we'll have a long-term cooperation, hundreds of years, Guep growing and growing, and these four universities, you know, who will be able to keep pace with your growth.
Okay, I would like to thank you very much for all of you for everything that we achieved together. And again, I wish you the best of luck and success. Thank you very much.
See you next week.
Thank you so much, Alex and Rodrigo. Yeah.
Thank you.
I hope Guep will be bigger than Microsoft.
Anybody, anything else? Okay, let's move to the next presentation then.
We have
guys,
sorry.
have a nice work, and we'd like everybody that joined us with this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Obrigado. Obrigado.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
We have 3 minutes before the scheduled time for Innova. Okay, so we are on time. If you want to take some water or toilet, quickly 3 minutes. And Innova can get prepared.